All right. Hey, everyone out there. Welcome back. If you are studying for the UPSC, you've got to be up on your current affairs.
Definitely.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. So for those of you, especially you mains and prelims folks,
Yeah.
this one's going to be a good one. We're tackling a topic that's been in the news, in the Hindu specifically.
Oh, yeah. A big one.
The India-Sri Lanka fishing dispute.
Yeah.
Now, this is not just some local, little spat.
No.
This is a major issue that has implications for international relations,
Right.
geography, economics, even environmental sustainability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So many layers to this one.
It's like a huge onion.
Yeah, it is.
We're going to peel back all those layers.
So we're going to cry a little bit along the way, probably.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully we can keep it a little more upbeat.
Well, I mean, metaphorically cry.
Right.
Because it is a sad story for a lot of people. But yeah, you're right. It's got implications way beyond just that little area.
Right. I mean, this has been going on for decades.
Yeah.
And every time, it flares up,
Yeah.
it puts a strain on the India-Sri Lanka relationship.
Right.
So let's start with, the basics. Like, what are we even talking about here? Like, where is this all happening?
Right. So the real heart of this is those recurring arrests of Indian fishermen.
Yeah.
So we're talking, their engine fails.
Right.
Or they get caught in a storm.
Yeah.
And they drift off course. And then all of a sudden, boom, they run into the Sri Lankan Navy.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's got to be scary.
Oh, it is. And the consequences, can be really severe. It's not just arrest. It can be sometimes their vessels are destroyed, they're fined, they're held.
Yeah.
And even after they're released, sometimes those fines are still imposed. And you can imagine what this does to their families back home.
Yeah, it's a reminder that
Yeah.
this isn't just some abstract political issue.
Right.
Like, there are real people
Yeah, absolutely.
whose lives are being, really affected by this.
Yeah.
And so we have the IMBL, that International Maritime Boundary Line, right? That's supposed to be like the dividing line
Yes.
in the Palk Bay.
Right. But it's not that simple, is it?
No, it doesn't seem to be, because even with that line,
Right.
things get a little murky
Yeah.
when you start talking about, actual fishing rights.
Exactly. Because that IMBL, while geographically it's clear, it doesn't erase, centuries of traditional fishing practices.
Right.
So Indian fishermen, they've been fishing in those waters for generations.
Yeah.
And they often assert historical rights that go beyond that IMBL, which leads them to fish in waters that Sri Lanka considers its own.
Right.
And that's where the sparks start to fly.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka views this as poaching,
Right.
as a threat to their own fishing communities' livelihoods.
Yep.
And they have this added layer of, security concerns. You've got to remember Sri Lanka's emerging from a long civil war.
Right.
So any kind of unauthorized activity in their waters raises alarm bells, you
Yeah.
know. It's understandable, right? Given their history, they're worried about Tamil militant groups
Right.
maybe trying to exploit the situation. So it's not just about fish, it's about security too.
Wow. So it's already more complicated than I even thought, right? So
Yeah.
you've got the economic anxieties, you've got the security concerns,
Yeah.
and then,
And then there's the environment.
yeah, the environment.
Because overfishing on the Indian side is
Yeah.
pushing fishermen further and further out,
Yeah,
often into Sri Lankan waters,
makes sense.
just to find a decent catch.
Yeah.
And then there's this method, it's been in the news a lot, this bottom trawling.
Yeah, bottom trawling, that sounds intense.
It is. So, imagine you're dragging this huge net,
Yeah.
weighted down across the seabed,
Okay.
scooping up everything in its path.
Oh, wow.
That's bottom trawling.
So it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredibly destructive.
Yeah.
It tears up coral reefs,
oh, man.
corals, sponges, breeding grounds,
Oh, man.
anything in its way.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka has been very, very vocal about this.
Yeah.
They condemn this practice.
Yeah, I mean, it's like clear cutting,
Yeah.
but underwater.
It is, exactly. And the damage, it could take decades, even centuries to repair
Oh.
if it ever fully recovers.
Yeah.
And that's not all.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Bottom trawling just makes that whole dwindling fish stock problem even worse.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's
It's like a vicious cycle.
It is. It is. It pushes those already scarce resources to the brink, and then fishermen become even more desperate to make a living, so they fish even more, illegally. It's a classic tragedy of the commons. Oh, yeah.
It's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
One problem just creates another,
Uh-huh.
and the cycle just keeps going.
And keeps going.
Yeah.
So we've got this whole web of, economic needs,
Yeah.
security concerns,
Right.
environmental consequences.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
Hindu did point out
Yes.
that there are some areas where
Yeah.
India and Sri Lanka actually do cooperate.
There is a little bit of a silver lining there.
Okay, yeah. So it's not all
Yeah.
doom and gloom.
No, it's important to remember that India and Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
they have a multifaceted relationship.
Yeah.
India, for example, is a huge development partner for Sri Lanka.
Right.
We're talking significant investments like housing projects
Yeah.
for communities affected by the war, electricity projects,
Mm-hmm.
railway development,
Okay.
port development.
Got it.
I mean, they're really trying to help Sri Lanka get back on its feet.
Economically.
And then there's the economic partnership too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, about ISFTA.
Yeah.
And that's boosted trade significantly between the two countries.
Yeah.
And they're even thinking about,
Right.
a deeper economic and technology cooperation agreement,
Oh, wow.
going beyond just trade.
So despite all this tension,
Yeah.
they are still finding ways
They are.
to work together.
They're trying to, make lemonade out of lemons, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
What I found really interesting recently was Sri Lanka adopting India's UPI.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that mobile-based payments system.
Okay, yeah.
It's really simplifying things.
Makes sense.
And it's strengthening those financial ties.
Yeah.
And they're using the Indian rupee more and more for trade,
Uh-huh.
which helps stabilize their economy.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, obviously the fishing dispute is a big deal.
It is.
But it's important to see it within,
Absolutely.
at broader context.
Yeah, the larger framework of their whole relationship.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Right. Exactly.
And so it's not just conflict.
Right.
There is more to that story.
There is, this is just one piece of a very complex puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And, this seemingly local conflict.
Yeah.
It has regional implications, even
Ah.
global implications.
Wow.
And we'll delve into all of that in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, so we're just scratching the surface here.
Just getting started.
All right. Well, stay tuned, everyone.
Stay with us.
We'll be right back.
We'll be back. Okay, so we've laid out kind of the background, the history.
Yeah.
But now let's look at the bigger picture. Like, what are the real consequences of all this?
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the politics of it all.
Right.
But we have to remember the human cost.
Yeah, yeah.
Every arrest, every destroyed vessel.
Right.
That's a family struggling to survive.
Yeah. Sometimes they're even, facing the loss of a loved one.
Right.
I mean, the Hindu editorial, they really highlighted this.
Yeah, they did.
Talking about, fishermen who've gone missing.
Right.
Presumed dead.
Yeah,
It's a stark reminder
it is.
of the dangers they face every single day.
Yeah, and it's not just the individual hardships.
Right.
Like, this also puts a strain on resources.
Oh, absolutely.
For both countries.
Yeah, think about it. Trying to patrol that huge area,
Yeah.
the Palk Bay,
Right.
enforcing the IMBL.
Yeah.
You've got to figure out who's a genuine fisherman who
Mhm.
might be smuggling something.
Yeah.
I mean, both the Indian Coast Guard
Yeah.
and the Sri Lankan Navy,
Right.
they're stretched thin.
So you're saying this dispute is almost creating like a vulnerability.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's like a gap
Okay.
that could be exploited for all sorts of illegal activity.
And that plays into the, security concerns we were talking about.
Exactly. Sri Lanka wants to maintain control of their waters.
Yeah.
They want to prevent any kind of threats.
Yeah.
And these anxieties, they spill over.
Right, into the political arena.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every incident in the Palk Bay
Yeah.
just ratchets up the tension
Okay.
between the two countries.
And the Hindu even suggested that this affects India's stance
Yeah, they did.
on human rights issues in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, it's a classic example of how something seemingly isolated can have a much wider impact
Right.
on the whole relationship.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and then there's the environment,
Oh, right.
which we touched on.
We did, and it's worth repeating.
Yeah.
how destructive this bottom trawling is.
Yeah.
It's decimating fish populations at an alarming rate.
Yeah.
And that has ripple effects throughout the whole ecosystem.
It's not just about, a few fish that are missing.
It's the whole health of the ocean.
Yeah.
The seabed, the breeding grounds,
Right.
they could take centuries to recover from bottom trawling.
So it's really long-term damage.
It is. It is. And then there are the economic consequences.
Right.
I mean, Sri Lanka estimates they're losing hundreds of millions of dollars every year because of illegal fishing.
Right.
And for India, when catches go down, incomes go down.
Yeah.
And fishermen are pushed further into poverty.
Right. So it's a lose-lose.
It is. Everybody loses in this situation.
Yeah, you've painted a pretty bleak picture.
I know. It can feel overwhelming, all these interconnected problems.
Yeah.
But the Hindu, they did point out some potential solutions.
Okay, good.
Some glimmers of hope.
Yeah, tell me about those.
So one idea that's been floating around
Okay.
is this concept of joint marine resource management.
What does that even mean?
So instead of fighting over who owns what, they create a regional authority to regulate fishing.
Okay, so like instead of us versus them.
Exactly.
It's more like we.
It's more like, we're in this together.
Okay.
It would require setting some rules.
Yeah.
Maybe quotas to prevent overfishing, maybe even joint patrols to enforce those rules.
Sounds really difficult.
It would be a huge undertaking, but the alternative is just more conflict, more losses, more damage to the environment.
Right. So this could be like a win-win.
It could be a way to protect livelihoods and protect the environment at the same time.
And the editorial also mentioned this joint working group on fisheries.
Yes.
That India and Sri Lanka have.
It's a mechanism that's already there.
Right.
But it needs to be more proactive.
Okay.
More focused on results.
So let's talk.
Yes, let's talk. More action.
More action. Okay, and what about this bottom trawling?
Right. Well, the Hindu called for stricter enforcement of the existing regulations and maybe even phasing it out completely.
Okay, but wouldn't the fishermen who rely on that?
Oh, they would definitely push back.
Yeah.
But this is about long-term sustainability, not short-term gains.
Yeah.
India's already started regulating it in some of their own waters.
Right.
And there are ways to make the transition easier.
Okay.
Maybe offer incentives for switching to different gear training programs on sustainable practices. Things like that could help.
Okay, so we're not just taking away their livelihoods.
Exactly.
We're giving them something in return.
Yeah, we're trying to find a balance.
And the editorial talked about technology.
Yeah, technology could play a big role here.
How so?
Things like real-time monitoring, satellite surveillance could help with enforcement.
Right.
Deter illegal fishing.
Okay, so like if you can see what's happening.
Exactly.
You can, catch people.
Yeah, you can catch them in the act.
Red-handed.
Exactly. Right. And it's not just about enforcement. It's about data.
Okay.
If we have information on fish stocks, we can manage them better, make sure they're sustainable.
So it's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
But technology can't solve everything, can it?
No, it can't.
We've still got the human element.
We do.
The editorial also stressed this.
Yes.
The humanitarian considerations.
Absolutely.
Especially for the fishermen who are caught in the middle of all this.
Yeah. We need clear guidelines for how to handle detentions.
Yeah.
Make sure everyone is treated humanely. Regardless of their nationality.
Yeah.
Things like timely repatriation. Legal support.
Yeah.
These are basic rights that need to be respected.
So it's not just about protecting fish.
No.
It's about protecting people, too.
It's about both.
Yeah.
And in the end, any lasting solution depends on trust and cooperation.
Yeah, but that sounds really hard.
It is.
Given all the tension.
It is. It's a monumental task.
Yeah.
But every step towards dialogue, every effort to find common ground, that's a step in the right direction.
Okay. So it's complex.
It is.
But not impossible.
No, not impossible.
Okay. Well, we've got a lot more to unpack.
We do.
About potential long-term solutions.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
All right. So we're back, and we've covered a lot of ground, but now it's time to look ahead.
Yeah, the long game.
Exactly. Like what could a real lasting solution look like? Not just for the fishing communities, but for, the whole India-Sri Lanka relationship.
Yeah, this is where we need some real creativity, We got to think outside the box.
Yeah, go beyond just like, boundaries and fines and all that.
Exactly. And the Hindu actually had a pretty interesting idea. They called it a joint fishing zone.
Okay, a joint fishing zone. What does that even mean?
So imagine like specific areas in the Pak Bay where fishermen from both countries could fish legally and collaboratively.
So they're working together.
Yeah, I mean, there would have to be rules, obviously.
Right.
Maybe quotas to prevent overfishing.
Okay.
Joint patrols to make sure everyone's following the rules.
But wouldn't that be like a huge challenge?
It would. It would require a lot of trust,
Yeah.
which, is in short supply right now.
Right.
But think about the alternative.
Yeah.
More conflict.
Yeah.
More economic losses.
Right.
And irreversible damage to the environment.
Right. So this could be a way to kind of reset things.
It could be a symbol of cooperation.
Okay.
A way to move forward.
And the Hindu also talked about technology.
Oh, yeah. Technology could play a huge role.
We talked about surveillance, but what else?
I mean, imagine using things like blockchain or AI to make the whole industry more transparent, more sustainable.
How would that work?
Well, every catch would be digitally logged from the moment it's caught to the point of sale.
Okay.
So you'd have this auditable trail. You could track everything.
So it'd be harder to, cheat the system.
Exactly. No more illegal fishing slipping through the cracks.
And it could help with, pricing, too?
Absolutely. Fishermen could get fairer prices.
Okay.
And we'd have better data to manage fish stocks.
Right. So it's not just about, catching the bad guys.
No.
It's about giving fishermen the tools they need.
Yeah, empowering them.
To do things the right way.
Exactly.
And, we've talked a lot about governments and policies.
Yeah.
But what about the fishermen themselves?
Right. They need to be part of the solution.
Yeah, they're the ones who are really experiencing this every day.
Absolutely. Their voices need to be heard.
So, how can they get involved?
Well, the fishermen's associations on both sides, they could work together, establish some codes of conduct, share best practices, maybe even resolve disputes among themselves.
So it's like a bottom-up approach.
It is. It's about shared responsibility.
Yeah.
Instead of just blaming each other.
Right.
We need to work together.
Yeah, and realize that we all depend on a healthy ocean.
Yeah, we're all connected.
It's a long road ahead.
It is.
But it sounds like there's hope.
There is. There's always hope.
Well, this has been a really insightful deep dive.
It has.
And for our UPSC folks out there, this isn't just about memorizing facts.
No.
It's about understanding the complexities of these issues. So think about it. What role can you play?
Yeah, good question.
In finding solutions.
Yeah.
Not just for this dispute.
Right.
But for all the challenges we face.
Yeah, we're all in this together.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
And if you found this deep dive helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe.
And share it with your friends.
Until next time, happy studying.
See that.